if you have just joined us. IG versus OMG, down here in the Grunge group, down in the group Nirvana. First game of the day.
That it is. Victor's Gaming will be over on the blue side, OMG over on the red. Bans already successfully put through. I think I was going to go for succeeded, and with a weird pronunciation on successfully put on through. But I don't think there should be any real surprise in there. I'll note the Corki is up, but it will be the Lucian instead banned. Rengar as well, away from Tianjin,
yeah.
But they will immediately lock the Lily. Some of the GLFS put a lot of time into him. You know, Tianjin has also looked at occasionally.
So that Lucian has looked really comfortable for Angel is the thing. I think we've seen a lot of our mid laners work really well on the Tristana and the Lucian because they're much more kind of bursty in their own way. Corki can sometimes be that, but it's hard to position on the Corki a lot of the time, particularly because you don't have that second dash up in the same kind of time scale. So now we're going to see Angel go towards something which he is much more comfortable on, leaving out the AD mid laners for the AP of the LeBlanc. Opens up Tianjin to go towards an AD Bruiser, which has more been his style as well. The AP junglers haven't, well, we haven't got to see them from him really because he's not been playing really this year. And now he's come over, and now we'll see what he's going to go towards. The Vi, particularly powerful for him. Vi LeBlanc pretty powerful, so that's likely lock-in.
Certainly a consideration. It's not the easiest all the time into the Lily. You're a melee champion that's going to go diving in to gracefully accept the Dream Dust Lilia starts throwing about, and that can be a bit of a rough old time, but the combo itself, very potent. See what IG want to respond with here. Debating a Yone, of course, is something that both YSGame and Nani have put time into over their long careers at this point.
Nani's been playing this a lot recently. And what it allows him to do is play side lanes a bit safer. Yone's pretty good at kind of like playing versus LeBlanc in some ways because both you have very, very good mobility. It becomes quite a fun skill matchup in that way. But on the other side, you know, Yone does tend to have more sustain than LeBlanc, so you take one good trade against the LeBlanc and you can control that lane. However, Angel versus Nani is our kind of like highlighted matchup because Angel, I think this is IG's path to victory. I'm going to go towards that Kai'Sa, important for him, and I think has been IG's most important player. On the other side, for him to have a carry which is coming back in vogue right now and can kind of join in these big bursty team fights and also bring some magic damage too alongside the team if you want to index more in towards AD from top lane from YSKM. Very important.
Something that Starry as well had a really good game on last series out as well against EDG. Looked pretty good on that Kai'Sa, earned himself very solid call from you and Munch actually about the clear skies and the starry night above. I remember that one. Clean work, boys. But we'll go to latter day Zeri instead, or latter day Kai'Sa, namely Zeri instead. That was the reference we were trying to go for, but it is going to be locked in. So now to go through to this second phase of bans. We've got pretty matched picks so far in terms of role, so it is realistically support and top lane as we're looking at. YSKM trying to hold on as long as he can, understandably, to get a better matchup.
So, both teams have engaged from different roles but support. We might see that engage role, we still might see the engage champions taken away from Vampire from PB God, so expect the Alistair and the Rel to also be potentially looked at here at the same time.
Yeah.
We're also looking potentially to pick that on 4. Yes, that's very valuable because both of these supports have struggled. Giving them some semblance of comfort might end up helping a little bit more. We had a really funny situation from OMG last series they played where PB God played Nautilus, one of his comfort picks, and he only hit the wall. Then he played Poppy support and then he couldn't hit the wall. It's like, oh yes, he's really playing well around terrain. No, he's not. So that was just a funny little aside.
That's the Camille instead of YSKM special, saying, look, we know that we're going to have to end up in a position here where he gets one of those nasty picks, so we can do that. Might just pick the Rel here themselves, but then it'll be Rel into Alistair. Maybe they're happy to trade that.
Yeah, I think Harry probably wants top lane counter pick. That'd be quite valuable. So yeah, I think Rel's a good takeaway. Vampire is indexed in towards that pick quite a lot.
Yeah,
it probably leaves him with just the Alistair up.
See what he decides to go towards. Maybe something like a Braum, but I feel like that's not really Vampire's playstyle. It's a little bit more defensive, and he does tend to be more comfortable on the go button. So that Alistair we were musing about is certainly an option. Rakan as well, a choice that perhaps we overlooked a little bit, is another one of those potential engage options. And not as squishy as years past, of course, with that Warmog's first item. You do end up being a little bit more obnoxious. But instead, blind pick of the Cassante. It's going to have to happen at some point. See what Vampire decides to go towards now.
We're talking about those hovers. We do know that he wants to go towards an engaged champion. We did say that the Ryle, the Alistair, the Leona, and Nautilus, those are kind of been the ones which he's gone towards the most. The Rakan allows you to get out of the play as much. So Vampire's going to go towards that one. Kai'Sa Rakan, it's fairly okay in terms of laning. The Rakan Q can get you a fair amount. And now Harry needs to see what he can do against that Cassante. I think the Na's a good pick here. I think the Na's good. Strong side laning champion. Can struggle against the Yone at points, but does tend to do very, very well into that top lane matchup, which means that one of the factors for IG, which we are questioning, which is, well, what's going to happen in the top lane matchup? Why again, big duelist player, is not necessarily going to be an issue. That's a winning matchup there. I then also think that now we need to look at the big team fight. So we have ample engage from both sides. You have Vi, you have Rel, lots of mobility, which means that really it's going to be about who finds the best angle to pull that trigger first. I do think that IG have been pretty good at pulling that trigger very quickly. I do think that their angles of attack have been falling apart a little bit recently, though, so they're going to need to be more precise on that point. OMG, similar kind of story. I think Tianzhen, though he's coming in new to that roster, has struggled, so he's going to have a burden on him to make sure that this pick, which he's really been picking up, even though it's not really been meta, has value. I do think that IG come into this series, on paper, the stronger team today, but this is still the Nirvana group, and it's still very, very close. We have to see now whether IG can capitalize on it. If IG lose, they go to 3 losses. Very, very important implications. You kind of need about 4 wins total. If they go to 3 losses, they only have a maximum of 4 wins, because only 7 series played in this stage will come through from each team. So for both these teams, fairly important. OMG probably overperforming right now. IG on the ropes.
Again, those results for the side of OMG, little bit perhaps falsified paper tigers in some ways, because the games they've won against have been against 2 of the struggling teams, frankly, here in the Nirvana group. On the other side, IG, they've brawled, they've scrapped. The results aren't exactly what they were hoping for. They are still potentially here to play a must-win series against a team who may not be as strong as their results suggest.
So we get ourselves closer and closer to the rift as we load in onto that again. We have ourselves fake LeBlanc skin and a whole bunch of other cosmetics on there as well to try and bolster these teams as they go into the first game of the day.
You can hear the moment that the crowd is faded in there. The Gyos come loud and proud here for both Invictus Gamers and OMG, 2 very long-standing organizations in esports in general. OMG, of course, did the LPL incredibly proud back in 2018 by winning their first ever World Championship and earned themselves a lot of enduring love for that in a lot of ways. And of course, big name in things like Dota as well. So there's an organization with a lot of love attached to it in a lot of ways. On the other side, OMG, way back in the likes of way back in the likes of Season 3, they were the hopes and dreams of a lot of the LPL fans. Cool was supposed to be the answer to the likes of Faker.
Do you remember Xiang as well?
Oh, yes.
Going. There were a lot of those great players back then.
Was Korn on OMG?
I seem to remember that Korn was over on Royal Club.
Was he Royal Club?
Because I remember, so also one of my favorite player names of all time, there was Yu, who's a mid laner around the LPL around that time as well.
Soldier Boy.
You! I just got that. Wow. I can't believe we weren't casting 11 years ago to make sure we can make those references. Incredible. Right,
Baby Hapgoods on cast.
Right, yes.
What did you want to talk about?
So, we should probably set up some win conditions for this game, because we talked about it before the game. Let's just say it while we're on the Rift here as well, for those of you who might have missed it just beforehand. IG, currently at 1-2. They ended up losing to TT just recently as well. They got a bit blown out by them. OMG, they ended up winning against EDG and RNG. Now, normally you'd say, coming in 2-0 into this group, you'd say, wow, okay, OMG, great news, stuff like that. I will say, I think EDG have looked a lot worse than I gave them credit for, and RNG are probably the worst team in the league right now. So probably OMG for me, even though they have that 2-0. I think the strength of schedule is quite weak, whereas I think IG have had a stronger strength of schedule, particularly looking at how TT have now looked as well. So OMG, the 2-up might be a little bit of a false positive. I still think IG have shown some pretty good gameplay recently. I would call them slight favorites. I think that IG, on the whole, have also had their own issues. I think that they've been struggling to play out through their late game win conditions in side lanes. I think that Vampire and Nania both really struggle. And as you can see again, Angel showing the LeBlanc tech where you jump forwards when the tower's just fired a shot, so it can't retarget to you and get that aggro onto you as you jump under tower, and you flip back before it can fire off a shot.
Did you see that Camille clip on Reddit yesterday where they did exactly that? Not seen. But it had a phenomenal Camille outplay involving a flash Q2 and an E out afterwards with some very, very clean mechanics involving doing just that with turret shots.
It was really sick.
The Chinese TikTok gods possessed him, I believe was the title. But there you go, great play And some abilities to mess up with turret aggro best you can, as both junglers pathing in opposite directions in a real early skirmishing over scuttle crabs or anything.
Harry's doing a really good job here in at least pushing this wave in. Doesn't mean that Tianjin gets full access to that. Of course, the Vi in very early levels, you can't do that much as a Vi very early on, so you're looking to really try and leverage off of winning lanes. That's how, you know, both like Shun and Kanavi did really well last year. God, and when you're winning lanes like this, that really, really hurts. At least you get the W shield there through from Nani, but Angel really starting to dunk down this lane. Vampire.
Nice engage, actually, from Vampire, but he takes a lot of damage back for both of the supports. Chunked low as the ignites come flying on through. Everyone just about alive for now.
Yeah, so it's ended up being ignite for ignite. Thing is, typically in 2v2s, if you don't get the kill on the support, it's the HP on the AD carry which matters more. Because when you're looking for extended fights, the AD carry does the more damage the longer the fight goes. So the fact that PP God lives, does have some pots, means that IG don't necessarily get what they're looking for. They almost get themselves the kill. It's the right trade to look for, but don't quite get themselves onto the board, sadly for them. So Angel still controlling mid lane. Harry still controlling bot side, whereas Arn and Vampire tending to just win out slightly in this bot lane, but not really getting tangible advantages as stats.
Oh, the overstep comes on through. PP got taken low, flashing away, flash on forward, still gets first blood, the dodge out. Still not enough. Great choice there from Vampire to punish, knowing exactly where the Rel have been standing. The extended burst fire damage is pretty good and makes it a 1-for-1 in the end.
So this is the thing, right? When you look towards that kill and support, great. The problem is that the other AD carry still has a load of HP, so both AD carries get away with a kill. GLFS, though, coming down towards bot side. He has flash. This is now dangerous. Sorry, needs to go towards the wall.
Will do just that. Gets whacked down, though. Watch out. Eviscerates enemy player. Does the damage required.
Yeah, the acronym game strong today. So, bit of an overstay from Starry, and we did say there was some worries about Starry and PP God. I really think Arn has been great for IG. The fact that he's been such a stalwart player as a veteran has really, really helped IG play through this split so far. And yeah, it does get him onto the board, very importantly so. Doesn't get that second kill. That would have been really nice. The more gold you get on the Kai'Sa, the better, particularly when you're such an important player for your team. OMG, they're not going to get themselves anywhere close to that dragon now because that bot lane is going to be, of course, dying, but might get themselves grubs up to this point. So, PP God gets that ward into this brush, but you are still half HP. You got to be really careful about going towards this Kai'Sa Rakan. They do have good damage early. I think that's just a massive overstep from PP God. He has struggled. PP God has really overstepped in a lot of ways, so it's a good punish by Vampire and Arm. Sadly, doesn't get the W knockup, but the fact that you managed to get that kill without the W shows you how much of an overstep that was from the Rel.
I mean, the Arn just gets to press Q, and it's like the Kai'Sa gets to press Q, and it's a single target Q, so immediately, and there's no aftershock or anything, so the Rel just melts.
And this also means that now GLFS, after the overstay, also gets himself onto the board. OMG, they're going to get themselves grubs on top side. That is quite important. You have a Gnar that's going to be hitting turrets easily. You have Angel who's also dunking on Nani right now. Like, Angel giving him a comfort pick like this to LeBlanc is a bit of an issue. Could be looking for a fight here. People got jumping forwards.
The thing about going on forwards, gets a stun into the crash down. Fairly decent chunk, but it's pretty early. Here come the rest of the team, though. Cease and desist after the flash on forwards from Angel, and down goes the Lilia. They will not get the dragon, but they do punish afterwards.
They do. So that's going to be 3 grubs for OMG. They get another kill on the board. This time it's onto Tianjin. Uses that flash ult very, very well. So Tianjin has struggled to get involved on the Vi in the previous series that we saw him really prioritizing that. So for him to get a kill right here, Derek very much helps. Gets that kill away from GLFS, who of course had that no flash. It's a big problem when you're on blue side when you need to retreat in that dragon pit. If you don't have a way to cross the wall, you're screwed because you're stuck up against that terrain. It does mean that when you're fighting bot side early, you do really need to be hard winning bot lane. Couldn't quite get themselves to that point. Starring PP God get involved, and now with Angel also getting kill participation, that's starting to get a bit worrying here for IG. These solo lanes, you'd expect, you know, at least top lane to be doing well, but this matchup for Harry's going good.
Yeah, and again, we know that Gnar into Cassante can be a little bit frustrating, but you can potentially catch out the Gnar turret, especially when the mini Gnar comes on through. We've seen enough Cassantes punish Gnars for getting too comfortable in lane and not respecting their all-out combo that can come on through, but problem is going to be still that this LeBlanc and Vi now starting to come into their points of power. The ult is getting on through. You saw it there right around that dragonfly. Of course, had to burn a little bit to make it happen. Both flashes were used, but the success was still one for them to pick up.
So, we've got Dragon spawning in 3 minutes, obviously that's a while off. What I really need to see now is the map rotations which lead up to second spawner grubs. OMG are fine with the grubs that they have especially with the solo lane leans which they're starting to garner. But if they get themselves at least 4 grubs for the might buff, that changes a lot. And if they get themselves 5 or 6, then honestly the Gnar becomes a win condition in itself. Because, you know, the Yone can be good into the Gnar, but because you have you know, double AD solo laners, Harry's going to be very happy to go towards the steel cast, which you already have done. And that's going to be a big problem for IG if they do allow too many grubs to go over. Wisecam, though, is going to get the drag back through the wall.
That's kind of what we're talking about. Harry in danger, does still have the flash. Doesn't have to pop it yet, so it will be the ghost and a big chunk on Harry, but the wave's already shoved in, so should be a relatively free reset here, I think.
Depends when Harry wants to go back. Depends how much gold he wants to do, because his next reset will be the one which he uses to get back towards the grubs. He doesn't have that teleport. So this is why we're saying in terms of the lead up to that play can be very, very important. Now, Wisecam has no ghost, has no ult. Tianzhen also doesn't have flash, and you're going into Xante with W. You need to make sure that Wisecam misuses his W, and then you can get yourself onto the board.
No, not quite at Mega yet either. We want to wait on that just a little bit.
So we just saw that Tianzhen charging up that Q, but by the time Wisecam was in range, the Q had just gone out of its kind of charge cooldown at that point, so it goes back on cooldown. I think he might just be here just to make sure that Harry's going to be fine pushing it in. Again, we did say a minute until Dragon. Tend to see rotations across the map at that point. See On going back towards bot side, Vampire going towards top side on different kind of story of that. Nani doesn't have teleport for this, but he's going to get himself a reset, try and get himself as much fighting power as possible before these grubs. I think these grubs are so important. OMG, they want to play through side laning. They have a LeBlanc, they have a Gnar. If they can get 6 grubs, really, really important for them.
And on the other side, you've got a Yone, right? One of the better split pushing options.
Even though he's behind.
Exactly, the grubs would help mitigate that perhaps later on into the game, absolutely. And in fairness, again, it is a melee versus range matchup. Sometimes that one can be a little bit tricky to manage, even if we had seen some really good play from Angel too to make things difficult. All the while, though, Harry can still be in danger here, as there was a bowling ball just coming up the lane. The observers were just showing the potential Lilia lane gank option.
I'm really surprised that IG didn't rotate towards top side of the map. Now, you have yourself in a position where you're locking both bot lanes out of the play, but because Angel has first item already... Oh my god, Angel has first item already? This could be a huge problem for IG. I think that they made a bit of a macro error here. 2 good pink wards from OMG into blue side jungle. They're going to get themselves into top side river. Harry's gone back now, and he's got himself some more components. Yes, IG are on top side as it stands, but they are going to be slow in terms of the setup for this. Both their bot lanes are now moving, but if Tianzhen just goes towards grubs right now, I think that OMG walk away with a good amount. Tianzhen, go grubs! Go, Tianzhen!
Take the grubs,
Take the goddamn grubs!
Everyone's roaming now, though. Bot lanes are coming on up, so we might end up with a significantly more impactful contest.
That feels like a big miss. Nani goes forwards, gets a chunk out of PP God. I feel like Tianzhen could have at least gotten 1 there. He's going over now. Didn't get himself towards level 9. It's not like he's gotten a huge amount of XP, waiting for Harry to come back in.
He's just waiting for the Mega Gnar timing as well, I think, that has now come on through, so he's probably waiting a little bit on that. But oh my days, they've stepped into it! Oh, and Cleanse is just about in time. But we'll get out for safety for now. The teleport now coming in behind YSKM. Gets her down the W. Flash on in for the quickness. That'll be a decent chunk of the PP God has gone all out on the other side. The Magnum Storm afterwards, knowing he's likely dead, will make this a violent fight indeed. Nani gets ceased and desisted. He will surely be deceased, and is so. On the other side, the damage comes flying on through. A 1-for-1. But all the while, the grubs were still going the way of OMG.
And this is the big thing. OMG gets 6 grubs, and they stop IG when they try to go towards the big fight. OMG, PP God, he gets himself that first big engage. He's struggled so much, but the Rel gets involved. OMG, I don't know whether they're going to be able to stick around for something like a dragon. Of course, IG could look towards a soul point win condition later on into the game, but OMG, as it stands, really, really good early game objective control for them and the way that they want to play around side lanes. And I feel like IG, we were talking about this, hey, 2 minutes before the grubs spawn, shouldn't they be looking towards this? They don't get there in time anywhere close to it.
No, they don't. One grub still up and remaining, but neither team feeling comfortable enough to go finish it off. You could see that OMG were much more interested in making sure they were around this bot side river to see whether there might be a revenge dragon coming on through. Instead, the resets now come flying on through and teleports too. Tianzhen on the bottom side of this map with a Sundered Sky available. We'll be looking for another fight around this dragon.
Yeah, he's got himself Flash again now. Really and really important to look for that by Flash. GLFS doesn't, and he doesn't have something like a Seekers. I think that, by the way, I know I saw some people talking about some of the older names in LPL, and there was some, like, there was a Naruto and a Killua from, like, different, like, anime and stuff. GLFS is technically Griffith from the Berserk manga. We've said this on stream a couple of times. For those of you that didn't know, it's technically Griffith from the Berserk manga, who is, like, the big antagonist of that, who is, you know, the
Interesting.
God, what's his name? The White Hawk. The White Hawk of the battlefield. I think it is. Yeah, he's a very competent commander and warrior. So there you go. Bit of background on the name.
There you go. And there's still been some debate about how to pronounce it. Is it GLFS? Is it Griffin? Who knows?
Well,
Find out next
look,
time on
I like
LPLZ.
Oh, so this is the thing. OMG didn't even go towards the 6 grubs. They didn't want to waste the time on that, so they get the 5. There was some conversation about this the other day. Basically, the difference between 5 and 6 grubs isn't that huge, or at least taking 2 or 3 between that. Tianjin might try and blow YSKM's W, but it'd be quite dangerous to do that, so he's not going to do that much there. When you have this many grubs, when you have the LeBlanc in a side lane, when you have a Nara in a side lane, that could potentially be very, very dangerous. Harry is on the weak side right now, but does have teleport to get back towards that. He has himself Triforce, and then we're seeing a switch in the lane assignment. So we want Harry. So basically, what OMG want is the Gnar into the K'Sante because he's so good at just like continually bullying down that lane. And they want Angel to be bursting out this Yone on the top side. Then he is going to get himself towards this top side turret because you only have that one grub though. You're not going to be able to take the entire turret. So it's going to be a chip, not much else. Harry, need to see how much value you can get now in side lanes. You've angled yourself towards side lane win condition with the draft and then also the grubs as well. That's realistically what they want to do. IG, they probably want to be, you know, looking for a big fight to stop OMG going towards those side lanes. Big problem for IG now, they don't have those 2 early dragons. Now, one of the ways you beat side lane is by having so many dragons, they can't go to the side lanes, they gotta fight you a dragon. Yeah. So by giving up that early dragon, that potentially stops them from getting through to a point of power as well.
Towards the Herald is now Tianjin looking to potentially take that one away. PP God and Starry are around, and the Herald started up. I don't know whether we're going to see a contest entirely. There are people on this side of the map from IG, but I feel it might just be a Safari trade.
Harry just ran out of Mega. Vampire gets PP God, but nothing else. Is that enough? The ult onto Tianjin.
Through the wall, the Herald's about to reset, but not before they get in and keep it still aggro. So Herald taken away off a very good lilting lullaby trade, forcing Tianjin to back away.
Yeah, so Harry stays alone in a side lane. So OMG say, let's not fight for the Herald, let's play through the side lane. So Harry's going to be looking to do a load of damage to that bot side turret. YSKM pops the Ghost to try and get towards this bot turret more quickly. With Demolish on here, it's still going to be this is still going to be the entire turret gone, I think. I think Harry with Mega Gnar, he might just be able to do this. How close? He's got Triforce procs maybe. Yeah, he can maybe stop to kill that tower. I feel like he could have just taken that, you know.
The rest of OMG are coming on down. Just wary of the things like the Lilia being off screen for now. Of course, no lilting lullaby wouldn't be necessarily the worst thing ever, but there you go. Gets the crunch. We'll need to probably hop away now.
I am surprised that Harry didn't just go for the full tower take. All right, so it's going to be most that tower gone, but YSKM times this Ghost well, and he gets himself into that side lane. However, this is the thing. It just feels like they're a step behind on these side lanes. Because they were losing the individual matchups, the drafts definitely lead towards that. LeBlanc, lane bully, not very much a lane bully, especially in these matchups. IG, I think this game gets a lot more difficult as soon as those outer turrets fall. If you start losing them, then it makes it so much harder for you to get towards where you want to be. They do have some power points to play around too. They have GLFS with Flash and the Seekers. That makes it really, really powerful for him to look towards those big fights. Angel's going to have to use that Mimic to get out as Vampire going into his lane, but he'll be safe just about.
Yeah, it's been a relatively slow game, I think it's fair to say. We've seen some contests around objectives, but we haven't seen absolute bloodbaths as yet. 6 kills in a game. Shocking, really. But you're right. I think the side lanes are going to prove difficult. And the fact that you have got those 5 grubs makes the LeBlanc side a lot easier. She's not necessarily the best turret taker until she gets lots of AP, and that really impacts turrets. But having those grubs early means you can't leave her alone in the side lane. And she's already so slippery. This is going to be first turret, and there's no real way to stop it.
Yeah, I feel like this LeBlanc can blow up in this game. It's really, really hard to deal with. Angels fed LeBlanc. The Herald goes into mid lane. It gets some damage on there, but it's not like it's a big power play from IG. Dragon's up in a minute and a half. They will probably have to look towards that. I feel like IG just need to now play around objectives, try and get the best setup they can to try and force OMG away from side lanes. As it stands, Tianjin's just going straight onto on.
There's a teleport behind. You get very scary. Tianjin will likely be a lilting lullaby. It's a solid lilting lullaby, actually, as Vampire throws on the quick, but they're all asleep, so they're not going to get up and start dancing, are they? Angel chunked low. Over the wall goes PP Gold with the Magnet Storm, but all out goes YSKM onto Starry. Hops across the wall. Angel still gets an 80. It's a 1-for-1 right now. The lightning crash comes striking on down, grounding itself in Arn's head, who has to ult to stay alive with the cleanse afterwards doing some work. Arn stepping on forward with the supercharge, will not be able to find too much more of the health bars. Pretty low across the board. But OMG largely on top as Angel steps on forward.
Oh, that's the W of all time. Gonna go towards this bot lane turret. This isn't gonna save them. The grubs are there, and OMG, they're still content on chasing.
Oh, Tianjin gets another vault breaker. YSKM, you should know more about the morgue, my friend. Another 3 fall down. And OMG get the ace.
You should know me, more like who asked. OMG slaughtered through the bot side of the map, and IG, looking for their first big fight of the game, are completely caught out of position. You can see that Arn trying to play Battle Ward here, but goes right into the jaws of this Vi and has to immediately flash out. That's really not a great point of power for him. And Vampire goes to the big engage, and it's just not time with the rest of the team. He doesn't end up proccing that Lilia ultimate from her, whereas PP God does manage to get into the backline and force things into a little bit more of an AoE team fight, which I feel like OMG with the Zeri at this point is really, really powerful for them. OMG walk away with a huge fight, and IG, for all I thought they were coming in as the better team, they seem to have been slapped, really, in this first game early.
Because it has been better macro moves, really, from OMG, and credit to the likes of Tianjin as well, a player who we've seen mixed performances on the Vi. Again, it has been that kind of very unenviable position the last time we saw it out, of having to trade his life for stealing Barons from way behind the curve of the game. This time around, 4-0-3 is next to a LeBlanc who's got a cosmic drive now to continue to be as obnoxious as possible stepping on forwards. You got 2 items on this Zeri as well. It's looking pretty good right now for OMG.
It is, and they have taken those 2 side lane out of turrets, and you can see that. Now, YSKM, he has had multiple waves on turret, just can't kill him in time. No. You don't have the grubs, whereas OMG do. Starry's now going to keep pushing into mid lane. It feels like with Zeri on those items of the Hurricane and the Shift, infinite wave clear, really, really hard to work around that, because they're just going to keep pushing in. And we're at a point now where we said that both solo lanes are in a really good situation in terms of pushing them in. You know, Gnar is doing well. Angel on his LeBlanc is dumpstering Nani. Nani has gone towards this Yone as a comfort pick, and you know, I'm going to keep reusing this line. I have sympathy for Nani. He has been role swapped. He has been subbed in and out of this team as well over the last year or so. Hell, he even played last year at some point, filling in for YSKM, but he has really been anemic in this game. And you've got a Vampire there. You know all about that blood. So the fact that the Yone is so far down is really, really problematic. He is here basically as CC, not damage now. It is really hard to play the Yone from this far behind.
And again, we've been hearing conversations with the likes of Xiao who talk about how Chovy plays and stuff, and saying, look, you can't be primary engage on Yone, or you shouldn't be. It's actually significantly harder. You want to be secondary. You want to be that next punch that comes after someone's already thrown the engage in, and that's proving really difficult this game, as Angel doing this is going to be a continual problem. Where do you pull the engage? On who?
I also really like that Angel has gone for the Cosmic Drive as well. Harry is dead. He stepped out of position.
May have said where. Like that. That's where you put the engage.
Okay, well, that helps. You use the Arn's ultimate, use YSKM's ultimate too. Harry still has teleport, so it's still not going to be really easy for IG to force a fight. I feel like with the wave cleared, they can walk up to this turret, but I still feel like OMG can just walk up and clear this.
YSKM in danger. The quickness comes on down. They can look at the Lilting Lullaby, but that's already a dead Vi. They lose 2 afterwards, though. The fate sealed. A little bit mixed. Arn trying to go away. They do kill off the Zeri, but Angel can look to hunt on forwards. Remember, there's no mid lane out of turret, so this Yone surely falls, but no. The Spirit Cleave keeps him alive.
Ends up being an extended, what, 3 for 2 if you include Harry's pick beforehand? I thought that was going to go way worse for IG, because Angel managed to get, what, 3 people clumped up into a distortion. Big win here, though, is that mid lane turret doesn't fall for OMG. They protect that after Harry goes down. That was the real objective which IG were looking for. They're trying to push in. If they open up this mid lane turret, this game gets a lot easier for them. Maybe they don't have to play around side lanes as much. Vampire gets absolutely cockblocked in this one, because the Tianjin Vi ultimate knocks him back as he goes towards his first engage, which means that Vampire can't get into that combo in the same way. Luckily, Arn and Nani get a really good amount of damage at the back end of this fight to save it.
They do. The turret still stays alive, and it's a moment that feels good, but it doesn't change all that much, and I will ask you all to turn your eyes towards the inventory of Angel, who's got a 10-stack Dark Seal and is a completion away from a Magi, should he wish it, to pick it up. Has picked up a Seeker's, understandably, considering it's very largely AD again on this team, with the exception of the Lilia. Now, Zhonya's could prove really valuable too.
So, OMG, still really good gold lead. They have the Dragon lead too. It's not even like IG can play to a Dragon Soul win condition. Arn is currently shadowing the side lane. That W get the Plasma. That certainly did.
Arn gets to follow up afterwards, and it is just lane ganking the Gnar that's working out right now.
Arn has been the engine room for IG. The fact that he's on the Kaiser, who can play kind of their own game and make their own stunts, is really important.
6-1.
You do also end up using, you know, YSKM's ultimate and his Ghost again, but IG, they immediately say, okay, the Gnar's gone, let's try and get something on the map. They don't get towards mid lane again. They don't get themselves towards that Baron because they were on the bot side so heavily. They are going to get themselves bot lane out of turret. So that's something for them. The fact that YSKM and Arn have managed to combo up so well multiple times now into Harry does give some opportunities for them.
Yeah, And again, the fact that he's evened up the goal despite the discrepancy is huge. Is 6-1, is building towards that third item, and will eventually hit that point where he can become an artillery piece as well. Pair that up with the swell seeds from the Lilia, and you start to be able to play the game a little bit differently as the game extends. But right now is proving really annoying in a side lane by attacking that 1-3-1, attacking whoever YSKM gets to ult, because you just follow up with your own ultimate.
It was very close. Griffith getting caught out there. He has the full Zhonya's now. That's really important item completion, because like the Lilia with Zhonya's is so strong, because it's not just you have to play melee range as the Lilia, just not that tanky when you do that as well, which is why we even saw some top lane Lilias going towards tankier items, stuff like Riftmaker and Randuin's and what have you. So the fact that you go towards the Zhonya's really helps him. It really helps him play out these team fights. So OMG, they were ahead of this game. They have given up some bad picks onto this Nada, which has slowed things down. Vampire might just get caught. Very lucky not to get hit by that Q. That could have been the death of him. No flash available, and he would have potentially been burst out before he could get through to his E and his W. YSKM once again finding a good angle. YSKM has been playing really well, but the train did land on him. Angel has Cosmic Drive. He can go through those cooldowns really quickly.
Just trying to be much more of a consistent damage threat on the LeBlanc rather than straight up burst. Still, Dragon being started will be soul point for OMG, and IG saying, look, we'd rather not take this fight right now.
Angel once again just harassing all over the place, trying to steal off that red buff. See that IG, because of the Dragon Prior from OMG, you're going to get vision control on top side, gives him an easier option towards that Baron. OMG, they are controlling this mid lane pretty well, though. I think that Starry having so much wave clear with the Shiv Hurricane really, really helps. They have kind of failed to administer these side lanes particularly well, though. The fact that IG have got easy access to those outer turrets is probably not what they want.
Yeah, they get one off a pick off Harry, and they get the second here off the Dragon start from OMG, and IG not contesting. So you understand what the macro decision-making was to make it happen, but it's still going to be IG that clawing that gold lead back. It's only 2,000 now. They are now in a position where, come another fight, they should be in a position where they can at least try and trade back.
Yeah, no, and IG, you know, the early game wasn't great. The early game wasn't great, but you can see that OMG have struggled to activate their own win conditions in the same regard. You know, Harry getting shut down a couple of times is really not what they want when you're meant to be winning in those side lanes. He died in those side lanes because he was disrespectful of what was happening with YSKM, you know, getting into W ult range. And then, yeah, the same kind of thing with Arn too, being able to fly into those side lanes. Feels like people have forgotten what Kai'Sa made a career out of, going into side lanes and making big plays with the ultimate. That's how it started back in, what, Season 8 with that champion. Of course, LPL has loved playing this champion for a long time. So now I need to see OMG, can they get Angel doing actual damage? Hugely far ahead. Needs to start looking like it, basically. You need to start doing something with that. And for the side of IG, you need to start, again, keep doing what with YSKM and Arm, what you're doing before. Use that Cassante W to activate that Kai'Sa Plasma, use that R to separate someone out and see if you can get isolated picks. They've been playing well around that so far. For me, I think YSKM and Arn have been really helping them have a platform to play towards, which means hopefully that GLFS can get himself into a point where he can really team fight, and maybe also Nani as well, but that might be a bit harder given how much gold he is behind.
Sonya's completed for Angel, but nothing like a Death Cap or a Void Staff at this point. It's very utility heavy on this. YSKM going to eat some damage, but this boy's getting pretty tanky himself, and we are kind of shy some pen items here for OMG.
Sure.
Still looking for an angle on the backline. The cease and desist comes on through for Tianchen. It's just dead. A PP God follows afterwards. In goes Angel, gets a chunk, but again, no kill. Vampire still alive. Starry eventually has to ult to get to. The Fate Sealed afterwards is well Zhonya's, but already the Rel dead. Nani in danger on the other side. Surely here to fall as Angel can still dip, dodge, and dive around for a bit more damage as YSKM goes a little bit further forward. Harry in danger, has to flash away. And ends up being a 3 for 3. The burn damage, huge.
The fact that Angel manages to kill Arn saves that fight for OMG, because there wasn't really a great entrance to it. You can see that, you know, Arn has his ultimate available. Could have been absolutely disastrous for OMG. IG, really, it is YSKM, it's Griffith, and it's Arn who are solving things through this. Watch about how they managed to play around the Lilia later into this fight. OMG, they push out the side lanes, they collapse in the middle. Tianjin does get onto Arn, but he goes too far. This has happened quite a lot with this player. Vampire comes back with the ult and the W, and yes, the second engage comes through. That is just enough. The cleanse read really well by PP God. The cleanse comes through, but then he's immediately stunned again, which means that Angel can immediately just gun him down with the Ludens after that point. But there is enough damage on this Lilia now to be a secondary carry. I don't think Starry's positioning really was that great. He ends up almost getting soloed out by YSKM.
Does survive though and gets to reset, which is nice. And the Baron's been started off the back of it, down to about 2/3 HP.
Whoa, Griffith died off screen in the replay.
You're right.
So there's no jungler. Somehow in the replay we've missed one of the most important freaking kills we could have seen, observers. Come on, Baron goes down. OMG gonna take that one for free.
They must surely find a way to fight afterwards. The Fate Seal's just shy. Need to get onto the Baron. Starry pulled off the wall. Will fall in trade. The rest of OMG now in retreat. Nani on the backline, about half HP, goes down. Makes that the 1-for-1. Getting more and more W's is the Kai'Sa, but already a cease and desist at the backline. Lan is in danger. Must stay alive. Just about gets to Eon out. Harry gets a knock into the wall. Will not get the kill as Angel needs to look on forwards, and Kai'Sa stays alive. Angel gets that kill. Will need to hop on backwards. Wing over the wall. Whoa! Angel looking like the Angel of Death right here, reaping the rest of Invictus Gaming.
Oh my word, Angel on his LeBlanc has a 5,000 damage team fight and walks away with one of the only 2 Barons from OMG. Somehow, OMG get themselves a kill onto the Lilia, the jungler, just before the Baron is started, and that means that OMG get to play that one out. I still think that they're allowing IG into really good positions with YSKM and particularly Arn just breaking up in this fight. We don't even get to see the kill to Lilia before this one. YSKM is having a magnificent game. If Nani hits with that ultimate, maybe we're having a different conversation, though. The fact that Starry gets pulled midway out of the wall means that he can't have a good fight. I think Starry's had a bit of an awkward team fight because YSKM and Arn have really zeroed onto him. However, that's one part of this. The fact that Angel is so goddamn strong is making this a huge team fight messed up because Angel does have so many cooldowns with that Cosmic Drive build to just keep rattling through cooldowns.
PP guard and TNT once again slightly uncoordinated. PP got a little late pulling the trigger, means Arn gets to E away, and then Angel just styles on them, tap dancing on their graves.
So that means OMG have themselves the Baron. Look, folks, they could be using this Baron right now. Angel could be somewhere else. The fact that they're going towards this dragon, I don't know whether I love it. Angel has himself 9 kills. YSKM going in again.
Right, the engage, gets some value. Vampire gets to the backline. He does get onto Starry, but they already run the Rakan. The follow-up Fate Sealed is good. Surely they can get some damage back, and they've done it. They get 3. Harry, nowhere near anything resembling damage as Angel continues down to round in a 1v3. Dumping back, but there's just nowhere to go. Golden goes the Lilia. YSKM continue to hunt for the LeBlanc, who backs away. And again, OMG.
Why did they just use the Baron? Why did they just not go towards
so.
that? Nani gets himself that 30-minute Yone ultimate. Doesn't matter that he's behind 4,000 gold. He hits all the targets that he needs to. Arn doesn't even get to play this fight out the way that he wants to, and IG, they are team fighting the way back into this. OMG, this is one of the worries that we had about them. They've had some good moments, but they haven't really been that clutch about their engages later on. Vampire activates the Plasma for Arn, but he doesn't really get all of the carries locked up in the way that he wants to. This is the huge moment here. Fantastic 4-person, I think, ultimate coming through from that Yone. Evens up the damage scales, even though Arn ends up going down very early into that. It is only, again, just Angel looking towards the end of this, but even then, he's very vulnerable towards the end of this, going back and toward that Lilia Q. Lilia is doing some hella big damage.
GLFS doing some work here. Being just he's dead again, by the way. Don't know where that happened off screen.
Guys, can we show the enemy jungler dying, please? Can we show that?
It was the LeBlanc picked up a 12th kill and picked up the Magi, so that would be another 4 stacks. Goes from 10 up, so that's what's happened.
Can we show people dying in important moments? Okay, so this is as jungle is going down, retreats from the dragon take, instant one-shot with the full combo. Angel gets himself a Magi's kill at that point. I mean, that's important, folks. He still has the Baron buff for this point, and that means they get themselves a turret after this as well. OMG don't get themselves sold, but they do get themselves an important kill onto Griffith, who has been doing a lot of damage in these team fights.
Well, that was mad. We are still just about in a position where OMG are strictly leading. Don't get sold. They have an ugly fight around the dragon, but in some ways the damage still ends up being tricky to deal with, as a lot of those tier 2s have fallen. It's only the one in the top lane here that stands for IG, and the map state is still difficult for them.
You know, if IG somehow win this, and they can, because these teams are I still want to see Angel be MVP.
Yeah, I know.
This dude, 12-0-6. Oh my god, his team fight LeBlanc is hard, folks.
Yeah.
It's so easy to just dive in and try and use the store into 4 people because it looks like a juicy target. It can be really hard to do that in these kind of games. I do think that he's capped out his build a little bit. He doesn't end up getting the death cap, which is a bit of an issue at this point. I even wonder if he should end up selling the Cosmic Drive for that at some point, because the death cap is such a big power spike. You just end up instantly one-shotting at that point. So, OMG, they are still in the lead, just about. Baron's up in a minute and a half. Dragon's up in 3, which is going to be a little while. They are not winning through side lanes in the way that they probably should have done with 5 grubs with this comp. They have ended up having to go towards these really squeamish team fights where it's just like, oh god, it's going to be a mess. And I credit to them, they've ended up out teamfighting IG in a number of occasions, even though IG, it feels like they've had some really good openings to some of these fights. But realistically, this is one of the reasons where I'm just kind of like raising a question mark about OMG. They've had some really good points of power. Why the hell can't they play through their main win conditions? IG on the other side, credit to them for finding these big team fights. I think particularly YSKM has had a fantastic game. Yeah. And he's allowed openings in these team fights they wouldn't have otherwise gotten.
I'm looking now at this LeBlanc, who's picked up an elixir of sorcery to try to add in that additional point of power for a bit on that side lane, 30 seconds or so until Baron spawns again. I don't know what the timer is on it, but you can see that's the point of the game that LeBlanc has got to. No thoughts of selling items quite yet.
Yeah, and Angel just getting that extra bump for the next fights of the game. Really, really important to mention that one because, look, if you're out of position versus LeBlanc, you're going to get burst out. Now, even though you do have a verdant barrier on the side of GLFS, it's not enough versus this LeBlanc, I don't think. So that's going to be a lot of carries going to be quite scared of what this LeBlanc can do. I will say on the other side, though, it really is just Angel doing that damage. Starry hasn't had a good team fight for a while. He's almost at full item build, but he's been caught out by YSKM multiple times. He needs to have a good fight. If he has a good fight, things really start to change. Good poke coming out somehow from OMG. I didn't really think they'd be the ones doing that when you've got a Kai'Sa on the other side. But LeBlanc, Zeri with the W as well, doing good work.
Zeri gets a slow with her passive auto, and Angel looks to get a bit more as On realized was actually potentially in danger there. Okay, at this point as Angel continues to hop on forward, throwing out those sigils of malice.
This is the bonus of having, well, you've got the Sorcerer's Elixir, but you've also got yourself that Cosmic Drive. It means you can just keep jumping forwards and backwards. Really, really importantly, Team Red buff taken by OMG. Of course, it spreads to everyone post 20 minutes, so now we've got Dragon up in a minute, Baron up now. OMG not really playing towards all the side lanes, but Harry does finally get himself pushed in towards that bot side. He has teleport. Maybe he can start moving around the map at this point. OMG, they haven't necessarily played around these objectives fantastically, but if they open up a corridor of vision for Angel to jump over walls and start popping people, can be really, really important. Even just taking down that Verdant Barrier shield can be really important. The Banshees has a low cooldown. The Verdant Barrier has like a 2-minute cooldown on the same kind of spell shield though, so he's going to be taking that on cooldown. It means it's not that valuable for Griffith right now.
Will be a bit difficult, will be useful later on. You can see the null magic mantles and stuff beginning to be built up to manage this ungodly fed LeBlanc. You understand why the magic resistor is delayed a little bit in this game, but it's now starting to come on through. Will make Angel's life a little bit trickier. The problem in some ways is the damage is already done. That is a very built LeBlanc.
Oof, good damage there onto YSKM. He does have that teleport. Of course, he can just kind of walk out of a play and walk back into it. So, OMG, they have themselves big dragon fight on. Needs to be careful.
Chen gets into the backline. The stun comes on through to deny the cease and desist. Lilting Lullaby afterwards buys some time, but the damage is done. This time the combo is clean. The Starry picks up a triple kill immediately, trying to get some more. On falls. Surely a 4th kill comes on through, but no, Tianjin the flashes to auto it down.
Only thing that OMG needed was one good Zeri team fight. Nady tries to claw one back, but IG are caught. Arn is caught. Nady gets one back, but it feels like it is so little. Far too late into this game. OMG will march down to the Nexus with 5 grubs and 4 members.
A last gasp, but it was written in the stars. The fate was sealed long before Yone pulled the ultimate. OMG, hold on. They win the game. Game 1 is theirs on the back of an incredible performance from the likes of Angel in the mid lane.
Angel's LeBlanc comes to play, and IG, despite the fact we were calling IG favorites to come into this game, can't make it happen. They're now down 1-0 against a really surging OMG, coming off the back of 2 series wins. Yes, against some lower placed teams, but it's wins nonetheless, and it feels like really IG have been sucker punched in this game. There is no fearless draft anymore. You don't have to, you can't just get rid of that LeBlanc from just one game. And IG fall down in that first game. Folks, welcome back. My name is Nymaera. I'm also known as Alex. This is Sam, my brother, Initialise. We cast together with brothers, and what happens is, when there is no LPL broadcast on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we casted it instead here because we have the co-streaming rights. So we do that. And we hope you're enjoying yourselves. So Sam, how did you feel about that game?
I really enjoyed it. I think we're still seeing the flaws in OMG. Their mid game was a little bit dubious in terms of what they were doing with the leads, but the likes of Angel coming back into this kind of form is exactly what the team needed. And remember, guys, this was someone who got 3rd place All-Pro in spring, was really looking like someone who was going to be making his mark again this year. Had a bit of a stumble with some family trauma and stuff, which was really difficult to manage, of course, but is now starting to come right back into it, and just about in time as well. Again, it wasn't clean. There are other flaws with OMG,